All right, welcome to Module 3. In this module, our expert will teach you about analyzing the split test results. So get ready to take some notes, and let's jump right in.
All right, so in this lesson, we're going to be going over some real-world examples of split test results and how to sort of analyze them and what to do with those results. So let's have a look at this one first. This is the page, the original page that we're looking at, okay? Very basic page, minimalist, headline, logo at the top, and a button, and it doesn't really say anything about what it is. In fact, this would be called a blind headline, okay? It's blinder than blind, actually. So this was the original, and then it was split tested against a couple of other variants. And let's have a look here. So variation, let's see here. Let's make sure I got that right. This is the original. Variation A. They're out of order in that line there. Okay, that's the original. That makes more sense. So this is the original, and it has a little bit of information about the product. Variation B presumably was the blind one. Yep. And variation C was sort of similar to variation A, but the main headline was a little bit smaller, but with more text in it. So start making money online with 200 plus free video lessons. Start making money online with our Internet Marketing Academy. So this one has a little bit more detail in it. Let's have a look at what actually was the winner. So variation A, as many of us probably could have guessed, did in fact do a little bit better. It had the highest rate. It was 44.7% conversions. So out of 47 visitors to that variation, 21 of them converted, and that's a pretty solid conversion rate. And there's not much of a difference, though, between that, surprisingly, and the blind one. Whereas this one here, surprisingly, did the worst, 30%, 11.5% less. Now, even though we have what most would agree is a reasonable amount of traffic per variation to come to some conclusions, this is pretty low. We would really want to follow that and see if variation C, which is very similar to variation A, is in fact that much worse and does in fact perform that much worse. One might say that this one performs better because it gets the tangible or the specifics out in the main headline, 200 plus free video lessons, while this one, variation B, performs well because it's the opposite extreme, and blind headlines do in fact sort of galvanize people sometimes, depending on who you're targeting. If you're targeting people in the MMO niche, the make money online niche, for example, and they can't make any money online, and they see a blind headline that literally just says start making money online right now, maybe that's the factor that made this one almost as successful as the counterpart with the more detailed headline. So the only way to know for sure would be to send more traffic to it. However, if you're running a live operation, you're not just split testing for fun. Remember, you're actually running a business with dollars and cents. It's hard to do that. It's hard to keep throwing money into something that, after this much traffic, seems to have a lower conversion rate. So rather than just keep it going equally, some might say it's better to just slowly dial it down so that you can have a little bit of traffic going there, which will be useful for checking back up on that split test and seeing if the results changed, let's say a month from now. But you're not wasting too much money by losing that if, in fact, it is objectively true that it performs less. And the way that you do that is just adjusting the traffic split. Now, again, depending on what software you are utilizing, this may or may not be an option, or it might look a little bit different. But on Instapage, it's called traffic split, and you can manually set the traffic split to whatever you want. Absolutely whatever you want. So if we want 15% going to variation C because it's not doing great, but we want to continue accumulating some more traffic and evidence over the course of the coming months and then check again, we can do that. But because these ones are making us the highest number of leads or the highest amount of money right now, we want most of our traffic going there at the moment. Does that kind of make sense? Now let's have another look at a similar real-world example here. And let's see, we'll load up the variations. Okay, so as you can see, there's a pretty significant difference between these. There's no neck and neck like on the previous example. 79.4% is an insane conversion rate for a lead page. Let's have a look at what the difference was. There's this, and this. You'll notice the headline is the same. The size of the box might change a little bit, the text is a little bit wider in that one, but the headline's the same in all of these. The subheadline is exactly the same. And the button is exactly the same. Now this is what's called a bridge page. Okay, so this is a lead page where you capture a lead, but what you're really pitching is a video. And in this case, if I recall, the visitor was then just sent to a sales video for an affiliate offer. Okay? But variation A didn't perform terrible by any means. 38% is still a respectable conversion rate, but it's the lowest of these. And it's a little bit odd because this is kind of a cool looking image. But I think a meteor striking the earth seemed to resonate. I mean, this is a great looking image, but maybe it resonated a little bit more directly being in the center of the screen and having a lot of focus on it, a lot of contrast there in the colors. And it resonated a lot, or I should say, it worked well with the red words earth-shattering. Earth-shattering video changes everything. Now, that was the whole point of all three images. There's a picture of Earth shattering. This one, it's debatable whether Earth is actually shattering. It looks like some type of a planet is colliding into Earth. Shout out to all those, what are they called, Nibiru people out there. But for some reason, this one was astronomically more popular. And here's the deal. When you're analyzing split test results, you're not always going to have an answer. You're not always going to have a why. You're not always going to be able to understand why this one. And honestly, many of the people who come to the page won't be able to tell you why. There's just psychological phenomena sometimes that are very difficult to nail down and enunciate. Your job, however, unless you're a research scientist or something, isn't necessarily to worry and stress out about the why. What you're interested in is the what. And the what in this case is that you're going to get 80%. 8 out of 10 of the people who you send to this variation right here are going to opt in. So let's definitely use that variation more. Does that kind of make sense? So we would want to take, we were talking about dialing it down and dialing it up. We would probably call this one good. It's a lot of traffic, huge difference in conversion, same traffic source for all these pages. One traffic source to one landing page with 3 variations. I mean, you might as well just do this, or even just 100% to variation B. You could turn these ones off. That's a clear winner. So again, sometimes it's going to be a little bit mysterious. Don't stress out too much about the why, although the why can be useful for future endeavors. So if you can enunciate it and can nail it down, then by all means do so. But don't stress out about it too much because you don't really need to know the why. You just want to know which one's performing best and put all of your marketing efforts into that one from that point forward.